What's up, everyone? Welcome to Lowered Expectations. Thanks for lowering your expectations and hanging out with me here. I do appreciate it. A big thanks to everyone who's been getting involved, whether that's subscribing to my channel, leaving likes on the videos, or getting involved in the comment section. All of that stuff helps, so thank you very much. I do appreciate it. Same shirt, same hat, same garage. But those of you who haven't completely fallen asleep at the wheel may have noticed there's been a slight glitch in the matrix. There's no car parked in the background. But that's not what we're here to talk about. What we're here to talk about is the fact that I shot this footage last year, and after 2 weeks of using this controller and ECU combo, it failed on me. I purchased this from Aliexpress, and I know plenty of people have had really good luck with it, so I wouldn't necessarily shy away from buying one if you're thinking about it, but I wanted to put that in this video. This footage ended up sitting on the shelf because I wasn't terribly happy with the way that it went. I didn't have a lot of knowledge of it, and so the idea was I was going to reshoot this video once I had more knowledge. But of course, the controller or ECU has actually burnt out, and so I can't reshoot that footage until I get another one. This is ordinarily where I would give you guys a safety warning saying don't do what I do or you're absolutely gonna die. But in this video, you can do what I do. You still might die, but yeah, this is actually pretty safe. And what I am going to be doing in this video is showing you guys how to upgrade from your old controller and ECU over to a new old style controller and ECU. Releasing this video almost a year late gives me the perfect opportunity to tell you guys about the Viver Black Friday sale. That's right, Viver is having a Black Friday sale November 13th to 27th, and I would absolutely recommend you use one of my affiliate links. Head on over there and check some of their stuff out. Some of their coupons are eligible to be used with some of their other offers, meaning that you could get a really sweet deal on that product you've had your eye on. If you haven't been browsing the Viver website, you should absolutely do so because they have a ridiculous variety of stuff. If you enjoy this channel, if you're a tinkerer, you're absolutely going to find something on there that you want. I guarantee it. Again, use one of my affiliate links, head on over there, and have fun. Some of you probably already have a controller with these features, or maybe one that's even better, but if you watch this video, you might learn something anyway. So, I've had this controller and this ECU, and I've been doing a bunch of experiments with waste motor oil trying to get my heater to burn it. And it hasn't been working out terribly well, but it has been amusing and informative for many. So if you haven't seen those videos, feel free to go check them out. Anyway, most controllers, or a lot of controllers, have some sort of hidden menu in them where you can push a combination of buttons, and that will bring you to a place that you enter a 4-digit code. That 4-digit code will bring you to a menu where you can change things like how much power goes through the glow plug, whether it's a 24 volt or 12 volt system, your maximum fan speed, minimum fan speed, maximum pump hertz, minimum pump hertz, so on and so forth. So I wanted the ability to change my pump hertz because I'm experimenting with different fuel. I wanted the ability to change my fan speed and pump speed independently. I've heard a lot of people say that these heaters come set up really poorly from the factory, and there's some truth to that, but it's a lot more accurate to say that these heaters are set up for probably the factory where they were produced. So the reason why this matters is because if you're at a different elevation, have different average temperatures, and have different humidity, or any one of those things really, you are going to have a heater that is not tuned specifically for your area. So it's not necessarily that the heaters are tuned poorly, they're just not tuned correctly for where you are, for your environment. So basically what this new controller will allow you to do is set your minimum and maximum fan speed and minimum and maximum pump speed by hertz. what this means is that you can set a, say, maximum fan speed of 4,000 RPM, and then you can dial in your fuel so that it has the right ratio. So that might be, for where you are, that might be 4.5 hertz, it might be 5.5 hertz. If you're closer to sea level, you're going to want more fuel. And if you're 4,000 feet like I am, you're going to want a little bit less fuel. If you're doing this, adjusting the fuel, a really good way to go about doing it is to have a carbon monoxide detector. Not a carbon monoxide alarm. You should already have one of those if you have one of these heaters, because you don't want to fall asleep and never wake up again, especially if you have this installed, your heater installed in a camper or RV or something like that. So carbon monoxide is no joke. It's nothing to play around with, but it is most dangerous in places where you will fall asleep, because it is odorless, tasteless, and the symptoms that it gives you, you will probably notice them before something bad happens if you're awake. But if you fall asleep and there's too much carbon monoxide, you're not waking up again. So don't mess around with carbon monoxide is basically what I'm saying there. Ideally, what you're going to want to do is set your fan speed at a reasonable speed. Most people settle somewhere around 4,000 RPM. And then you're going to want to play with your fuel hertz, the pump hertz, until you get a reasonable amount of carbon monoxide. The less carbon monoxide you have, the cooler it is going to burn. Your heater is not going to make as many BTUs, so it's not going to put out as much heat. The more the more carbon monoxide that it is producing, you're going to make a lot of heat, but it's going to make a lot of carbon monoxide and also a lot of soot. So you're going to have to service your heater more regularly, and it's going to burn a lot more fuel. So there isn't really a right and a wrong here. If you have your exhaust vented in a place where you're confident that it's not going to blow back into the space that you're trying to heat, you're actually getting rid of all of those gases, then you can run your fan speed at like 5,000 RPM and crank your pump hertz way up. And as long as you're not producing so much soot that it shuts down in a couple of hours, then you will make a huge amount of heat, but you're going to pay for that by burning a bunch of fuel and also by having to clean your heater more regularly. I don't think I've actually mentioned it yet, but I will be showing you guys how to install this controller onto your heater if you currently have this style of controller. It is very easy, but I'll walk you through it anyway because there are a few things that you kind of need to know. Sitting on the bench in front of me, I've got my old controller, my old remote control, and my old ECU. Here is the new controller, new remote control, and new ECU. Before we get too deep into this, I wanted to say that my controller looks a lot like some other controllers, but it is actually quite different. And we're going to address the E9 thing here, just so that nobody's concerned. My ECU isn't hooked up to the heat sensor, the glow plug, or the pump. So I'm going to have some, or the heat sensor. And so I'm going to have E9 telling me that sensors are disconnected or not functional. So we'll just ignore that for now. But what I wanted to say is that there are a bunch of controllers that look like this. Some of them have a wrench instead of a gear up here. And the biggest difference is if you have one that has red digits on it, then you probably have the ability to get in and change the settings. You probably have a place to get into the admin menu or the administrative menu where you can enter a code and change the functions that I want to change that I do not have the ability to do with this controller. I've had a whole bunch of people tell me that you can do it with this controller, but the difference is that this one has the green digits. So green digits, no control, red digits, control, as far as I know. So most controllers, you will push this button like 3 times, and then you will get to a place where you can enter a 4-digit code. 1688 is usually what it is. and then you can change a bunch of settings. On this one, it appears that they have a 3-digit code. No one seems to know what the code actually is, but it is the OK button and power button, and then you can change it here. But what is the code? No one seems to know. What I like about this controller, there are a few things. It might partially be just because I got used to this one, and I'll have to show you how this one is different after by turning this one on. But when this controller is normally in operation, instead of showing you a timer on here, it gives you can scroll through with the what button is it on here? You scroll through with the OK button. I'm used to using this. But you scroll through with the OK button, and it will give you the heat setting, battery voltage, and the heat exchanger body temperature. So all that information will be displayed. And up in the corner here, it tells you what the temperature is in the room. So currently, apparently, it is about 18 degrees Celsius in here. So damn near tropical. On this one, what it actually does, it doesn't tell you the temperature on the screen, it just gives you bars across the bottom. Another thing that I really like about this is that it has this controller. The remote does the same thing. It displays this information. It tells you battery voltage, heat setting, and the temperature of the body. And it says E9 right now. I don't know, the GoPro doesn't pick this up very well, but we've got E9 displaying, stop, and sensor fault across the bottom. So alarm E9, sensor fault. The batteries that this uses, AAAs, so it'll probably take 10 years for these to go bad. This is a really robust remote control. So you can power it on, you can speed it up, slow it down, and scroll between menus on the OK button. So I really like this controller. And then the ECU, there's not a lot to talk about. The functionality of the ECU is directly connected to the controller, or no, wait, the other way around. All of this functionality really that I'm talking about on the controller is on the ECU, and these things just go together. So now over to the new one, which is actually the old style. So this is my new controller, and it is an upgrade for me, but this is actually apparently a very old style, or the old style. Plug this in, and now we've got red digits. And again, error 9 because we don't have the sensors all hooked up and stuff. But if I press this 3 times, we get to a place where I can enter a code. And then you hit the down arrow, 1, okay, 6, okay, 8, okay, 8, okay. Now here, the pump, this is the low speed of the pump, set at 1.5 hertz. Okay, you go to the next thing. Pump, the maximum speed is 4 hertz for mine. I've been playing around with waste oil, so that's probably not something that you would have yours set to, but maybe. And now the fan speed, the minimum fan speed is 1500 RPM. You can scroll through and increase or decrease each digit. And then we get to the maximum fan speed, which I have set at 4500 RPM. Then we go through that. This is, let's see, 12 volt or 24 volt. If you're going to be changing this, you have to do some research. I haven't done it. You're going to want to make sure that you have a 24 volt pump. I think that if it says it on here, you would be able to run 24 volts to the ECU without problem if they actually allow you to change it on here, but I can't say for sure. I believe this is the glow plug power, but I actually don't know. So I'm just going to leave it alone on 1. PF, again, I don't know. Maybe that is the glow plug. Somebody let me know in the comments section. It goes from 6 down to 1. I think mine was set at 1, so we'll leave it 1. And then I don't know what this is. Off, on. Oh, that is to cycle the pump, I believe. Okay, so now, okay, we're back to this, and that is the biggest thing that I like about this, is that it gives me control over my air-fuel ratio. The thing that I don't like about this, and I've been spoiled by the new controller, my old controller, the new one, this is the remote that you get with it. So it's very basic. It doesn't have an LCD display. It's very tiny, compact. It's nice. It has a cover on it, which is nicer than this one. This cover will stop you from accidentally turning the heater off. I've done that a number of times by just leaning on something with this. So this cover that slides over the buttons, definitely good. The thing that I don't like about this, there's a couple of things, is you can't see anything on it, so you don't know what the temperature is. You don't know if it's running. When you push the buttons, you don't know if the controller has actually received the signal. The light comes on, but that doesn't tell you. Yeah, that doesn't tell you if it has actually received the signal. So I think they claim these work up to like 100 feet. I would say that unless you have absolutely nothing in between you, you want to be no more than, say, 50 to 60 feet away when you're actually using this. With this one, you can increase your heat or decrease your heat, and then look at the screen and actually tell if the effects took place. Now that we've gone through all that, I'm going to actually hook the old one up to the heater and show you guys the way this looks, and then we will actually install the new one. Maybe it's not obvious, so I'll say it. I'm just doing this for testing purposes and so that you guys can kind of see everything that's going on here. But this isn't exactly a smart way to run your heater. I now have the ECU installed, all of the sensors hooked up, and so now when we push this button, it will say 13 volts. It is stopped. 17 degrees is what this controller is reading inside of my garage, and it tells me that we have a connection and that the battery is good in the controller. If I push OK, nothing happens. It doesn't scroll through anything unless I press the power button and get it started. So you can't do anything with this unless it is turned on. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to power this on and show you guys basically what it shows on the screen. It is going to make a little bit of noise here. The fan's going to turn on, and when it starts blowing it might blow some smoke as the glow plug turns on. So it is currently on setting 3. I powered it on. It says over here that the fan is turning. This little plug thing here is the glow plug. That's saying that the glow plug is turned on. And I don't know what this thing over here is. Somebody knows, let me know. I think maybe it means that it's getting power. Anyway, we've got heat setting 3. It is 16 degrees Celsius on the body of the heater itself. This is one of the things that I like about this, and it will stay there if I leave it there. It doesn't take me back. Okay, we're starting to blow out some smoke. And then battery voltage is down to 11 because I don't have my charger on it, so that we don't have to deal with the sound of the battery charger. I'm going to shut this off now because we've seen all that stuff. We can crank the heat setting up or down with these up or down buttons, which are backwards. Down is up, up is down. But we're going to power this off to stop that smoke. Because it didn't start pumping yet, the glow plug will turn directly off, but if the pump had been running, the glow plug will turn on and stay on for a little while to clean the glow plug and the mesh off. This is my heater. It has some modifications done to it, so I will have to ask you to ignore this extra little fuel line loop here. That is for the fuel preheater, and these 2 wires here go to temperature sensors. Your heater will just have this single wire coming out of it here. This is a fairly ingenious idea. I really like these. Very easy to work on, and yeah, just very well put together. So you spin this nut off, which is also the screen, and the lid just pops off like that. You then make sure that you remove, well, your grommet. It will just basically pop out like that. Again, you won't have these extra wires. Pull your heater out. You don't actually have to do this. You could do it in there, but I think this is the easiest way to do it, so I'm going to show you how to do it that way. Now, there is one Allen bolt right here, 4mm. Some of them actually use a Torx. You want to be very careful not to over tighten this because it's plastic, and even knowing that, I actually ended up cracking the one on my new ECU. So you disconnect the motor, just squeeze these connectors here and they pop right off. And now your ECU is removed. Your glow plug is going to have 2 wires, but it will be on a 4-pin connector. And your heat sensor is going to be on a 3-pin connector, only have 2 wires. And your motor is going to be on a 3-pin connector, but only have 2 wires. So when you're unhooking the old ECU, these 4 pins are for the glow plug. This one is for the heat sensor, and this one is for the motor. On the new one, you've got a 4-pin for the glow plug up here, but then you have the motor on the same side as the glow plug, which is 3 pins. But over here for the heat sensor, you only have a 2-pin connector. So all of this stuff is plug and play, but there is, a few things that you kind of want to know. For starters, the glow plug is on the same side, but it's actually in a slightly different place. So the glow plug normally is on the top over here, and now you're going down, it's on the top here, and now we're going to the bottom on the new one, which causes the wires to bend in a slightly different way, and these wires are kind of stiff. It's not a big problem, but you do want to be mindful of it. So what I usually do is I will put the glow plug connector on and then dip in underneath this little latchy thing. It kind of looks like one of those buckles that you use to snap together on a, I don't know, luggage or camping equipment or something. Anyway, I don't ever actually push it in through, though I suppose you probably could. I just go behind it, underneath, and up in. I find that the easiest way to do it. You can do it however you please. So now I put the bolt in here using the 4mm Allen bolt. I usually only drop it a couple of times before I get it in. I think I will use the Allen key to get it started. Very gentle with this. A finger and a thumb. That's all you need to tighten it up. Just snug that up. In a hurricane going down the highway on the back of a truck at 120 miles an hour, that is not going to come out, even if you just finger tighten it like that. Okay, so one thing that we'll notice right away is that this wire is on the opposite side. So we'll talk about that later. But now we're going to, first we'll swing the motor wire around to the other side. Ordinarily the motor wire would connect on this side at the bottom. We're going to swing it around to this side and it connects at the top. Now there's 3 pins there and there's only 2 wires actually connected here, but it still clips on the exact same way as it did to the old one. So there's nothing that you need to pay attention to there. Basically just clip it in and you're good to go. For this side, there are 2 wires and 2 pins, but a 3-pin connector. So if you make a mistake and put this on in the low position down here, it's going to give you an error, probably E9, and then you'll know that you did it wrong and you'll have to do it over. But if you just look at the wires, you can see the 2 connectors are on the bottom. There's 2 wires on the bottom, 2 connectors on the bottom. So you use those 2 bottom holes to put in this on that pinned connector. And now your ECU is all hooked up. You're good to go. You're going to want to make sure that your wires are run in a way that they're not going to snag on the fan or catch on anything. So check out your wires before you put anything back together. And now you can pop this back into the case. If you decided not to take it out of the case, then you won't have to put it back in, but I find it easier to work on when it is out of the case. So put that in there like that. Yes, there is a little grommet in the case. There's a spot for a wire on each side of these cases. There's a spot here and a spot here. So pull the grommet that doesn't have the hole in it and put it in the side that your wire used to come out, like that. And then take your wiring harness, your new wiring harness on the new side, and you put that grommet into the case just like that. Now you pop your case on, put the nut back on, and you're good to go. If you're having trouble getting the nut on or having trouble with gap around here, most likely what has happened is that you didn't get the cover on properly. So the cover has a groove around it, and that groove matches up with the case. So you need to make sure when you slide this in to get part of it under and part of it over. If you don't, you're going to have troubles. So part of it under, part of it over, gently wiggle it into place. There are locators on the heater itself. There's a locator here and here. And there's also locators on the end of the motor assembly. One goes here, one goes here. So if you have the heater sitting too far in or too far out, none of this stuff will line up and you're going to have troubles. So all you need to do is that. Presto. And unfortunately, that is where this story ends, at least for now. I have reinstalled my old ECU and controller on Old Faithful. That heater has been through an absolute war, and I've decided I'm just going to leave it as is. I am going to install a new burn chamber in it. I've picked one up because my old burn chamber has so many modifications that it doesn't even resemble a diesel heater anymore. I have some very interesting videos planned for this winter. Not sure when I'm going to be able to make them happen, and I'm not sure if Viver is going to help me out with them, but I'm going to make them happen one way or another. You're going to want to stay tuned and subscribe because it's going to be amusing, going to be interesting, and I also have a lot of tests planned for the original Viver diesel heater. Once again, if you haven't checked out Viver's Black Friday sale, I would absolutely recommend doing so. And sale or no sale, it is worth taking a trip over to their website to see the amazing variety of stuff that they have. If you enjoyed this video, if you enjoy any of my videos, if you're a tinkerer or a handyman, I guarantee you're going to find something over there. If you do head over to their website, make sure you use one of my affiliate links so that they know that I sent you. And if you use an affiliate link to make a purchase, I get a small kickback and it helps me out. That is going to do it for this one. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.